The broker is asking for a TWIC card, and you bid what?
Your hustle gotta be strong in this industry, as in any other industry.
Alright, so I'm sitting at a Walmart in just south of Dallas, Texas. I dropped off this morning in Temple, Texas, moved up here, which was about 110 miles. Gonna try and grab something out of here today. Bid several already, but man, rates are just trash. In the last video, I talked about how rates should be, at a minimum $1. And places like this is what I mean. Like this is one of these areas, Texas in general, unless it's going to an odd place, like they're trying to be in the 80 to 85 cent range all in. And that is just awful. And it is so hard for me to bid anything under $1 anymore. It's just so difficult. At a certain point, maybe I'll bid, and because I have to just to get out of here. If it goes to the right place, the right amount of miles and all that, I might do it. But man, it's tough. It's tough to take that hit. Now, like I said, I got decent pay to come in, so I would still be averaging, over $1 a mile, both ways loaded miles. But still, man, I just hate to give them the satisfaction of a bid under $1. And with that said, I wanted to kind of give a few tips on when you're bidding these loads. And again, I'm speaking to the people that have their own authority, that are on the load boards or dealing with brokers, and they're bidding themselves directly. Any of you guys that aren't doing that, this is still some advice for you guys if you're looking to, eventually go that route. And just a little side note, and I feel like this information needs to get out there a lot, and I'm going to try to put together a video really stressing on it. But when you get into the cargo van industry, whether it be local, regional, or over the road, you do not have to get your operating authority, which is your MC and DOT number. Too many people, I think they paint themselves into a corner because they, for whatever reason, they believe they have to have those in order to be in this business. When you're doing over-the-road stuff and whatnot, you can work for carriers. You can work under somebody else's operating authority until you get your experience and decide whether this is for you and whether you can make a living at it by getting your own authority. Same thing with the local regional stuff. Some of those things don't require anything like that, or you'll be running under theirs. So just understand, too many people, like too often you're hearing, I got my van, I got my MC and DOT number, hey, I need a load. It's the same thing as, hey, I got a van, how do I get work? It's kind of the same thing, except you've kind of created a little worse of a situation for yourself with the DOT number and everything. For one, your insurance may be higher because you have your own MC DOT number, and then also your ability to get freight, besides just knocking directly on doors, is going to be minimal if you're not understanding that you need to be on load boards, what load boards to be on, or you don't have a broker's list, or whatever it may be. So it's just creating another problem for yourself by doing that. Please do not do that. All right, with that being said, whenever you guys bid these loads and you're seeing any kind of outside of the norm requirement that they're asking, whether it be it's an airport pickup and you got to have paperwork in hand, boom, that's more money. They're asking for a TWIC card, for sure, more money. Just seen this morning, there was a load. We got a driver in El Paso. There was a load, 758 miles going from El Paso to Houston. And they're saying TWIC card, TSA required. Not a lot of people have that. And another thing, again, that's a special requirement. That's outside of the norm of the regular services provided in this industry. So bid it at like $1.15, which, just to put that in perspective for any of you that aren't familiar with it, El Paso freight and rates is trash. I mean, they're trying to get you sub 80 cents out of El Paso, and it's been extremely soft out there. The freight has been really, really slow for several months now. from my perspective. Anybody else has a different perspective, I'd appreciate some feedback, and hit me up privately if you'd rather talk about it privately, because I'd just be interested to know where you're seeing us, because on Selectus and the other load sources we have, just not seeing hardly anything in El Paso, and the rates are extremely low. So back to the point. So I bid it $1.15, didn't even get a peep, didn't get a freaking peep. And then they said they actually, the other dispatcher, my brother, he reached out to him again to ask about the load, if it's available still, did they cover it, whatever. They came back and said that they covered that for $650. 758 miles, $650, TWIC required. That is just asinine. If you're the guy that's out there bidding that and you did that, you're an idiot. And some guys might do that, and then they're trying to throw another load in it and all this other bullshit. That's bullshit, man. That throwing multiple loads in with the load to justify your cheap rate, or to justify anything, to justify with the rates is what they are trying to justify doing it. That's wrong. It's again, without the broker's acknowledgement and agreement to do it, it's totally wrong to put multiple loads in a van. I don't want to get too far off course here, but anyhow, so that's the instance with TWIC. If it requires a hazmat endorsement or certification, more money. If it's PPE required, that's even a little bit more money. Now, PPE is more of almost a standard equipment you should have with you for the most part. But if they're requiring it on there, then again, you should be able to throw a few extra bucks on there. Hand unload, obviously, should be more money, depending on what it is. Like if it's one stop and they're saying it's 3 skids or 4 skids, you should be charging 150, 200 bucks. Depending on the weight, how much freight it is. If it's 3 stops, and it's just 1 skid at each place, at least 50 bucks per stop for the hand unload, plus 25 bucks minimum for each additional stop. You get the pickup and you get the delivery. Anything in between is added charges. Also, when you're bidding these loads, if you're sending a driver to the East Coast, or you're along a route that has a lot of tolls, take that into consideration. If you're sending a driver that is a dead area and they may have to relocate, make sure you bid that into it so you have the money to give to the driver to relocate. I mentioned before the paperwork in hand and doing airport. Those should definitely be added money. Because a lot of times those end up being a big delay. I don't care if the run says, and to be mindful, short runs, I know sometimes if you don't know the short run, and especially if it says it's an airport pickup, don't bid it cheap. Bid that, because you're probably going to spend some time on that. And worst case scenario, you need to think about what happens if this is a delay. Am I willing to do 150 miles for 200 bucks or 250 bucks if it ends up being a 2 or 3 hour delay getting loaded, and then I got the 2 to 3 hour drive, and then I get delayed on the other end? Like, is that worth it for 250 bucks or something? So bid it according. Bid it to pay for your time, And again, the people in the industry know this, and they know that's what it should pay. Now, again, they try to squeeze every penny they can, a lot of these guys, and a lot of these guys allow them to squeeze them pennies from them because they get so desperate for freight, which is understandable. I've been there, done that, so I understand it. It's been a learning process to force myself to be more patient on loads and to bid, a little bit higher on certain things, even if I don't get it. Like, it's frustrating to not keep the vans rolling all easy peasy, of course. It sucks, but I'd rather get the value out of it than to just be a part of the cheap shit that's going on. So, again, just to summarize, just be mindful of when these brokers are asking for certain things. You should bid accordingly. Bid extra on top of that for these things that are required. And as I said, TWIC, paperwork in hand, airport pickups, hazmat certification, if it's heavy, if it's going to high toll areas, just so on and so forth. Just understand that there's value in those things. Don't give it to them cheap, because coming out of your pocket, it's wear and tear on your vehicle. All right, guys, so I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. Just wanted to put those out there real quick. As I said, had that load pop up this morning that was requiring a TWIC, and then seeing how low that load went for. So I just wanted to put this out there to give some information to you guys. So be safe, and until the next one.
Your hustle got to be strong in this industry, as in any other industry.